Hello everyone, I'm Ben from What Culture. You may remember me from such 2K WWE video game reviews as this one.
Baron Blade. Now, I don't know who Baron Blade is, I don't know who designed Baron Blade, but one thing for sure is that he is the most boring, default-looking guy I have ever seen. Fortunately, I had a choice, and if I don't have to fight Baron Blade, I'm not going to fight Baron Blade.
Well, another year, another WWE Game Series entry, and whilst last time I focused exclusively on 2K15's My Career mode, today we're going to look at all of 2K17's efforts together. Isn't that nice? First of all, let's take a minute just to appreciate the attention to detail this year. From the main menu screen with various performers swanning through the background to the fact that you can perform corner taunts when you're stood in a specific spot, and that the in-game models are used on loading screens so your custom characters don't look out of place. It's clear that a great deal of effort has gone into making sure nothing goes untweaked. And then there's the wrestlers' entrances themselves. With a new lighting engine, 2K have made the roster look the very best it ever has. Just look at Balor's abs. Phew. That's not to say everything's perfect though. Obviously it's not 2K's fault, but with the brand split happening recently, almost everything apart from the roster is already out of date, which will rub some people the wrong way. Despite it being a video, the WWE title package that plays at the start of the game skips like crazy, long hair is still proper weird looking, and Dana Brooke's face appears to have been run over by a steamroller. Plus, excellent looking entrances notwithstanding, a lot of them are performed sloppily. Like whoever was doing the mocap wasn't quite sure what they were doing. Kalisto's run, for example. What is that? As for the fundamentals of the wrestling itself, they remain fairly unchanged from last year, with a load of new match features chucked in instead. Chain wrestling, while never mandatory, is unlikely to occur unless you have compatible wrestlers who'd be likely to do that sort of thing. Thankfully, multi-man matches are no longer a complete clusterfuck. Previously, everyone was in the ring all the time, which was a giant pain in the arse. But now, when receiving a big move, just like in real life, wrestlers will roll out of the ring until they're fit enough to return. Taunts now have a real tactical purpose, and you can either taunt your opponent to earn a buff to your damage, or you can taunt the crowd to increase the speed you gain momentum. You can even fight in the crowd and backstage this year with an alternate, flipped, or split camera angle to follow the mayhem. However, while these are no doubt significant additions, reversals are still a bit of a nightmare to master, especially when you're on the floor and the bloody ref walks in front of the prompt or the camera zoomed way the hell out. The putrid submission system is back, albeit a little simpler, but there's a somehow inferior button mashing alternative too if you want to use that. The issue still persists where you can attempt to grapple an opponent, somehow miss them, and then just stand there like a gormless idiot until they take charge, and you can still do a move and have your opponent stand up before you. Then there's the crowd. For something that plays such a huge role in actual wrestling, it's a shame it consistently sounds so weird and phoned in, with deafening reactions suddenly rearing their heads at weird, inappropriate times. The commentary team too is absolutely awful, and I suppose, in that regard, it's one of the most accurate things in the game.
Tell us about Neville.
Well, we're going to find out who's the better competitor, that's for sure. No gimmicks here, just some good old-fashioned one-on-one action.
One thing a lot of people have complained about was how stripped back the Creation Suite has been in the last couple of years, but great lengths have been gone to rectify this. The Wrestler Creation Suite has been beefed up with a load of new attire options, and you can even pick specific parts of your character's body. Yes, even buttocks. All of last year's creation modes are in again, with the advanced entrance creation getting an overhaul. It'll take you a little while to understand just how it works, but whatever, it's there, and that's all that matters. On top of all of this, Create a Video now allows you to stitch together highlights you save from matches into an entrance video for your custom chap or chapette, meaning you no longer have to roleplay as someone else. If the likes of Gallows and Anderson and co. missing just grates on your very soul, chances are some mad talented buggers made them in the online portion of the game. Or, you know, if you just want to play as a superhero, god, or a noble creature that was taken too soon. You can also play other people if you like, on the internet, but the servers are still a little shaky at the moment. Universe mode. It's back again! Create your own shows, play along, edit until your heart's content, and generally just be the god of your own wrestling universe. New this year are promos, which we'll get into in a minute, but when added to the already impressive mix of options on offer, Sim fans should certainly be satisfied.
Did you see that? Don't be surprised if you see that move trending worldwide on social media.
Yeah, hashtag that move.
My Career. Oh, here we go. I've long upheld the belief that My Career should be the centerpiece of 2K's annual offerings, especially considering the lack of a showcase mode this year, but I just haven't been blown away by their efforts thus far. New this year are promos, where you're given a time limit to select your response as you try to whip the crowd into a frenzy, either as a face or a heel. It's a great addition, and you can even go up against other wrestlers for versus promos. It's simple enough to get the hang of, even if it's not always immensely clear which choice is going to prompt which reaction. Unfortunately, going for titles is, again, a pretty ambiguous, tedious affair. After selecting a championship, you sort of just have to wait around until your ranking increases and you get a shot. Admittedly, you can attack relevant parties to increase your rank, but chances are you'll only do it because you're prompted. The biggest new addition this year is the ability to become a Paul Heyman guy, which, while amazing sounding, plays out similarly to how the authority angle worked in previous games. Fulfill certain challenges and you'll get him on side, but the payoff really isn't worth it, as, once again, the real thorn in the side of My Career mode is, while enjoyable to begin with, it quickly descends into an uninspiring and tedious slog. And this is symptomatic of a deeper issue with how it's framed. 2K's attitude to their My Career mode has always been a bit baffling to me. They approach it from a sports sim perspective, breaking kayfabe and showing the behind-the-curtain aspect of NXT, etc., but at the cost of a meaningful and interesting story. They're in a bizarre no man's land where they're not quite going full kayfabe-destroying sim where you're told to go out there and lose in style or what have you, but equally they're not completely chucking out the sports sim aspect and embracing the things that make wrestling so captivating in the first place. The colourful characters, the engaging storylines, the pomp, and the pageantry. Instead, we've once again been given a game that feels like we're playing out the career of a superstar as seen through a businessman's eyes. There's no real fun to be had here. Rivalries pop up based on your actions, but in that and many other regards, it makes My Career mode almost identical to Universe mode. They really need to ditch the more in-depth, dull side of superstar management like t-shirt sales and double down on having an interesting, branching storyline that runs based on your decisions. Hell, this year they've even done away with voice acting and cutscenes, so you know they could if they really wanted to. It worked in SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, and it'll work in WWE 2K18. Ultimately, would I recommend you buy WWE 2K17? Of course I would. It's not only the sole wrestling game series on the market, but it's an immense, complete package. It certainly has flaws, but you'd be mad to pass on it if you have any interest in it at all. But having said that, with My Career mode being the one thing they still need to get right, allow me to bust out a metaphor. If you imagine the WWE 2K games series as a castle, each year they add extensions to that castle, ramparts, turrets, lovely curtains even. But ultimately, it doesn't matter, because they can improve that castle all they want, but they've built that castle on a foundation of sand. And until they improve that foundation, the castle is structurally flawed. I said it 2 years ago, and I'll say it again now.
2K laid the groundworks for an incredible experience, but it was all done better 12 years ago. For the love of God, learn from your mistakes. Put some content in My Career mode, because at the moment, it just feels like the Universe mode without any of the choices.
But how are you finding it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can even follow me here on Twitter and disagree if you fancy. I'm Ben from What Culture. This was my experience with WWE 2K17, and thanks for watching.